Hello there, everybody. It's me, Countess. Welcome back to another video. And in this one, guys, the other day I was just kind of thinking to myself, why did Billy choose to sort of write his memoirs the way he did? We know that he wrote it as a work of fiction, with fiction woven into the fabric of the story just to make it so he has plausible deniability if it's ever, taken to a court of law or something like that. But as it's been advertised, we have the lyrics on one side, and then we have the memoirs that Billy shares on the other side. And again, you get two sides of the story to make the whole story. And I just wanted to go through a couple of different passages in the memoirs, just kind of explore this topic a little bit more. The first one is just in the introductory pages of the book. It is titled The Memoirs of Paul McCartney. So it says the lyrics from 1956 to present, which was back in 2021, I believe, 2021. It is the official history, and it works with the memoirs of Billy shares the unofficial history to further instill the dual realities of the same man. Since being put in Paul's place, Billy has gone to enormous effort to appear to be Paul, and yet all along that ongoing effort has been matched by his work to make it all known. It is almost as if he were two people. The main story shows a seamless transition from the early Paul to the present knighted gentleman in his place, as if they were the same person. By contrast, in the memoirs of Billy shares, we find the challenges, pains, heartache, and frustrations of trying to be someone else. One narrative is the big show as presented to the world. The other narrative reveals how and why that illusion exists. For one, a poet of renown uses 154 songs in 960 pages to proclaim the story. For the private story, revealing what was buried, an unknown poet and coder uses some 222 songs in 666 pages. Okay, so we're going to note this numerology, guys. Again, I had gone over this about a year ago in a video, but I think it's important to kind of acknowledge this numerology going on here. So for the big show, the poet of renown, Mr. McCartney, uses 154 songs, right? So you take 1 plus 5 plus 4, you get 10. So 10 represents a full completion of a cycle. But then you can also add 1 plus 0 to get 1. So 1 as in it represents himself. He is in this book. And then you get the 960 pages, again, highlighting the 9 and the 6, McCartney and Billy. You do 9 plus 6, you get 15. 1 plus 5, you get 6. So in the lyrics book, the numerology is 1 and 6, meaning he is in that entire book. It's just, based on him and his recollections, right? Well, the other story, the memoirs, written by an unknown poet and coder, Mr. Tom Harriet, he uses 222 songs, which, of course, right there is the number 6. And he uses it in 666 pages, which equals the number 9. So in the memoirs, you get both Paul and Billy's stories. Unlike in the lyrics where you're just getting Billy's sort of point of view on everything and all the stuff that he's made up over the years about the early years of the Beatles and the early years of himself or whatever. So it's just very interesting, the numerology always tells a story. And so speaking of, we're going to turn to the chapter 35 in the book, and it's called Between Me and My Encoder. It's all 6s. And so this ties into the whole numerology aspect that I just went over. So just want to read a few little bits from this chapter, give us a little better idea about why he's writing his memoirs. So it starts, he says, when I was a little boy, long before I knew anything about Liverpool, I was the greatest at 6s. And that is a dice game. And then so on the next page, it says, I remember one day on a visit with my father, he rolled 3 5s. Although the strategy was to roll only one die and let him have it, I felt confident energy making it feel safe to push to match all 3. They all came up 6s. I have held that great 6s day in my mind. I will always remember the thrill on his face when he shouted 6, 6, 6. And this is funny to me because if you think about it, his father, Mr. Magician Man, he rolled 3 5s. Well, 3 5s, you get 15. 1 plus 5 is 6. So again, it's all 6s, right? Just like he talks about in this chapter. I just find that kind of funny. So then just turning the page to 330, which that numerology is 6 as well. At the bottom of the page, he discusses a little bit more. It says, Emily Little was in the same boat as him. As a little girl, she was particularly fond of giraffes. When her relatives or a fine friend found a giraffe sculpture, painting, stuffed animal, or toy, he or she always saw to it that she got it, making her collection bigger and bigger until there was hardly a place for her to sit down in her room. I had stuff like that too growing up. It's funny. Once people associated M with her animal guide, they all sought to add to her collection. Well, that is what happened to me with the 6s. Once they were mine, everyone wished to educate me, revealing connections that I had not seen before, such as 333 being the Masonic half of 666. Numbers are interesting things. Everything and everyone can be numbered in a way, or perhaps in utterly numberless ways. I mention here how I got that 666 so that readers would be less inclined to misjudge me about it. My fixation has more to do with my father than with the devil. Still, we all believe whatever resonates. Believe what you will. I got that number as an innocent game with my father. 6 is that it is the highest number on the dice. The 6 has nothing to do with Satan, but with the number of sides on a cube. But also that leads back to Saturn, right? And Saturn having the cube and all of that. Yeah, anyway, that's a whole other topic we won't get into. But you do not see me praising Satanism, as other musicians are apt to do. I am neither an outsider trying to break in, nor an insider trying to get out. Ooh, opposites. Gleaning from esoteric mysticism or occultism calls me more than generic philosophy or any set religion. Magic, with a K, from Greek, magique, the mystical art of willful transformation, works by directing energy flow. We direct energy out for external changes or pull it in for changes in consciousness. Enough of that. You may want to know what 6s have to do with Paul and me. What I found amusing in California was that the name of my dice game 6s would come to mean things are the same. With that, this McCartney game I play is to be the same as Paul. 6s have always been my game. McCartney is number 9. 9s are 6s turned upside down. Indeed they are. Okay, so then on page 332, it continues. He says, my driver said I might enjoy seeing Laguna Beach's sea anemones, starfish, and other marine life. However, 6 miles before reaching that beach, we stopped early, reasoning that there would be less marine life there, but more tranquility. The beach was empty except for one gentleman riding the waves, later carrying his surfboard and a small ice chest back to his car. He stopped to talk. I could see that I looked familiar to him. As I spoke, he recognized my voice and smiled. Since he did not talk like a crazed fan, I invited him to join us for a while. He shared his water with us. He was an English and history teacher out on vacation. He thought I was the biological Paul, and that the Paul is dead legend was a publicity stunt. I confessed that it did sell a lot of albums, and that we were glad that it turned out the way it did, but also said that it was no hoax. I heard myself saying, listen, do you want to know a secret? Beneath his graying curly hair, which was long for an English teacher, even on break, his eyes were older than the rest of him, maybe wise enough to see through any unusual nonsense lines that I may provide. So he said, what secret? And I said, it's no hoax. Not that it's true. It is not a hoax. Not in that direction. If it were a big secret until now, why would I tell it? Why write about it now after all of these years? Softly he answered, because you want to. He could see it. He added, if that does not feel like enough, then do it because the world would want to read it. He understood what the world would demand, what it would mean to me, and that I was ready. He was right. I am able to share more. That would open Pandora's box. That could never be reclosed, I said. How is it different than putting it in your songs and album covers? He asked. I saw that he enjoyed his suggestion, but discerned that the rest of the story would shock him. Too risky. That's different, I said. It's all fiction. Song lyrics and poetry can have anything in them. Enlarge your fiction, write a novel, label it as such, and you can say whatever you like. As he spoke, I saw myself writing a mysterious book. It would have to be more than just another common book, I said. I'd want to make it more like the words did not come fast enough. How about an epic poem? His idea sounded grand, but perhaps too much. So, epic, I'm not sure. I like the idea of verse, something like a novel, but with elements of poetry. Reading it should be a mystical and interactive experience, not just another novel. Well, you succeeded there. We were in it together already. We unexpectedly sealed the plan to collaborate by what he did next. He described a manuscript he had worked on, in which he hid secret text, embedding a code into the text. He explained how he did it and why. I was intrigued. It reminded me of all I had done already in songs. Technically, it was in verse, since every word or line break mattered. Yet it read like a novel. All of it was perfect for what I desired, but too much work. Far too complicated for a full-length text that way. I was not sure he could do it until, on a paper from my colleague, I wrote a rather tedious paragraph, and I asked the teacher to rework with embedded clues. I told him what hidden messages I wanted in the text. He set up a grid, then reread my page and focused. In a mere 18 minutes, he finished. It took him 33 minutes to reveal and conceal layers of meaning. Again, it took him 18 minutes and then 33 minutes. Add those together, you get 51. 5 plus 1 is 6. Again, 6 is in the mix. Before long, we were discussing gematria and the particulars of my role in providing material. His role in coding my messages, my guarantee of historical accuracy, his work standardizing the language as American English, my commitment to disclose all without reservation, the restricted extent of his creative license, my right to override any changes he makes while lining up words to fit the allotted spaces, his method of transferring chapters to me via email for approval, my turnaround time for him to meet his 09/09/09 deadline, and finally his compensation for this mammoth undertaking. Entering into this agreement allowed me to make this encoded book the way I wanted it without involving myself in areas where I did not wish to spend my time. Using a collaborator on this project is similar to what I have always done with projects. Whenever I snap the McCartney name on a label, I might have hired all kinds of people to help me make the sounds that I have in my head. It is like Yesterday, which Paul wrote from dreams. He had the music playing in his head, but knew the Beatle engine could not produce it. The song was labeled Beatles, even though John, George, and Ringo had no part in it whatsoever. Paul hired outsiders who could do it better. So it was the same thing when I came along. I did for the band what Paul could do no longer, continuing in his name. For tasks over over our abilities, we hire others to do it. It is not as if, given enough time, I could not do it all as well. It is just that my imagination is too vast and my life too short to take the time to do everything all by myself. By hiring this encoder to assist me with this project, we were able to do it right, without it consuming too many years of my life. Besides, in his words or mine, it's all sixes. Yes, and I just wanted to point something out. Back a couple of pages on page 332, the footnote at the bottom says, this chapter's story of the encoder, Thomas E. U. Harriet, meeting William by accident is fictional. William did not break the confidentiality agreement by confiding in a stranger and hiring him to be the messenger. That cover story required for the memoirs is not how the candidate was selected. Yes, I can only imagine how and why he was selected. But I find that very funny because then right next door to it, there's a picture of Tom with the winged hat of Hermes. And Hermes was, you know, a son of Zeus, who was basically, they say he was one of the most clever and mischievous of Zeus's children. And that he was also a messenger of the gods. So I find that very symbolic with him wearing that hat, just because he is, you know, if Billy is the sun god Horus, that means Tom is his messenger, you know. Wings are links, you know, again, to the spiritual and the material realms. So just find that very, very cool. I like that. So anyways, guys, that is how Mr. Bill came to write his memoirs. You know, really the lyrics weren't technically a memoir, right? They were more of just all of his archived, coffee-stained, just old crumpled pieces of paper, you know, with lyrics on them, you know, beautifully put together. That it was more of Bill just trying to, like, generically recall stories to give reasons for, you know, why he wrote whatever he wrote in a lyric or whatnot. But in the memoirs, again, we just get a whole other story that just blows your mind completely the first time you read it. And then you read it again and other parts just blow you away. It's crazy. But when you have both of them together, you can kind of get the whole picture, and that's the point of it all. So I just thought that I would take a look at that with you guys and explore it, because it's something that I've always found, I've just always wondered about it. And, you know, the first page of it, again, in the memoirs, the one I read out called The Memoirs of Paul McCartney, you know, again, this should be very obvious to people. If Tom is advertising on a website, you know, for the lyrics box set and the memoirs box set together, you know, he has to have approval from Billy to do that. You know, otherwise there would be lawsuits. He'd have to take it down, all of that. So again, it's just another validation that this is coming from the source, that this is not all bullshit. I mean, some of the stories in here are bullshit, just like the one we read about him meeting Tom. But the reasons for him writing the memoir, I believe, are close to the truth, at least. So he wants to get it all out there, and I don't blame him. You know, I really don't. And again, it's fun to think about all of these different things and how he's tried to let the world know with his songs, even his solo work. I'm going to continue to keep looking and digging. I have like a little list of songs that I've gone through already that I can definitely pick apart of his, again, that display this vast occult knowledge that he has. So we'll see what comes of that. But anyways, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys think about his memoirs and, you know, both sides of it. Have you guys read, you know, through the lyrics set and the memoirs? You know, what's your guys' opinion on it? I'd really like to know. So let me know, drop me a comment. And anyways, guys, I hope you have a wonderful day. And I will see you in my next video. So until then, take care of yourselves, guys. Bye.
But though they may be parted, there is still a chance, Bill, that they will see.